Hello, my friends. I am in the teaching van. I just got done with a client. I want to do this video while it's fresh in my brain. We were going over some pentatonic stuff. You're going to love this lesson. I have a part 1 linked in the description below where I take, if I'm in A, my minor pentatonic, right? And I bring us up to this position of the minor pentatonic in A. And that sort of gets a little less blurry and clears up playing throughout the whole neck. Right, which is the goal, to be playing this stuff musically. Let's go over this pentatonic coming down to the lower position. What that's going to do is it's going to open up the entire fretboard, which is the purpose. Now, when someone's taking the course, that is the purpose of the course, opening the entire fretboard, unlocking it, and being able to play all this stuff musically. A lot of times, we will get someone that says, oh, the pentatonic. Oh, I know that. A guitar teacher told me to play that. And they'll know it. And they've played it 100 times, over and over and over. The problem is that's just numbers on strings, fret numbers on strings. It's just dots on a scale chart. Right? It becomes very mathematical and very position-based and not very musical. We want to be putting the music in this. So let's start with learning the scale, and then we're immediately going to jump into the musicality of that scale. So there's something for you to attach that scale to, right? It doesn't really do a whole lot of good except for it's a great exercise, to be playing that scale up and down. And then I do suppose when you have, when you get into a lesson of what the pentatonic is actually used for, the scale inside and out. So I can't say it's all bad. So now I have my 5s, right? The backbone of our first position of the minor pentatonic if I'm in A, right? My root note is the 5th fret of my low E string, the 7th fret of my D string, 5th fret of my high E string. The 5th fret and the 5th fret on both E strings are going to remain my root note, okay? Now, if I move this position down here, what is nice is that we have the 5th fret consistently, but that's going to be the upper part of the scale now. Now, the scale also is symmetrical, which is really great for memorizing it. So that's my root note, and I can do my flat 7 leading into my 1. So now I have 3 5 3 5, 2 5 2 5, 3 5 3 5. All right, not too bad to memorize. You know what I mean? What we want to do is recognize where those root notes are. Okay, 5th fret of my low E string. Now where my 7th fret of my D string was my root note before, it's now going to be 2nd fret of the G. All right, that's my root note. We can see it's in A. It's right in my A chord, right? And then 5th fret of my high E string. Those are my root notes. I go through this in part 1, but those root notes are crucial. That's my home base. The notes on either side of the scale, the minor 3rd or the flat 3rd, and the flat 7 are going to bring me tension, right? If I have a nice call and response, gives me a little tension. That's my flat 3. It's on one side of my root note. That's my root note. If I play the scale, root note, it's right next to it. So I can end a phrase there. Gives me a little tension, and then resolve it with my root note. All right, I do go through that in part 1. I want you to get that a little bit and get some of those phrasings in there if you haven't done so, because that's going to be very purposeful for learning this position down here. The main goal now is if we have this sort of bluesy pentatonic in this position, can I play a lick up here and can I move it down to this position? And it sound generally the same, right? And if I can make it sound exactly the same, that is my goal. So if I just take this really simple lick, all right, so I got my flat 3, so I got my 3rd fret on my G string, give it a little bit of a bend, and then 7 5 7 on my 4th string. Okay, let's try it. All right, that's not too bad, right? Grab a whole bunch of licks. See if you can make them work. Right? Cool. We can even add that blues note in there if we want. Right? cool. If you can do that, you start doing that all around this scale and then all around the scale, that is going to get you to learn the scale faster, not just memorizing it. You know, I sort of liken memorizing scales to memorizing something for a test, to take the test, and then I forget the information because I don't really have anything to attach it to. That's how I got through high school. You know, if I was actually learning it, like now I'm in Berkeley, I'm actually learning it because it's what I want to learn, then I'm not just memorizing it, test, information gone, right? I have something to attach it to, the enjoyment of learning it, you know, or a reason to learn it. Like I still, if it's a class I'm not super stoked on, I still need to pass it. This is the same thing. Just numbers on strings is not helping. But if I can say, oh, my root note, that's why each one of those notes sounds that way, you know. Another really great way to look at the scale, what does happen when we're learning a different position, is we do get attached to where those root notes are. Specifically, when I'm talking about the first position of the minor pentatonic, you know, that 7th fret of my D string. We have a lot of clients that'll come through, and they're great with the pentatonic. They're always sort of like... they're always landing on that root note, or even up here, but they're always landing on a root note. And the reason is because that is the most pleasing and the easiest one for us to hear at first, right? If we're not sort of set up to hear the call and response and how all of the other notes interact within that scale, we always sort of find that note, right? And it sounds really sweet. It sounds really sweet to us. So now when we learn other positions of the pentatonic, if we aren't learning them properly or getting ahead of ourselves, what will happen is saying like, all right, the upper note on my D string is my home bass. So it'd be like coming down here, the upper note of my D string, but that's not my home bass, you know, and that happens a lot when we start switching positions. So knowing where those root notes are and getting comfortable visualizing is the same as, you know, which is really nice because we get up into this position, right? These positions really start all looking the same. You know, how the notes are interacting with each other. So try it. Main goal for this, come up with a lick, play it in your very comfortable position, and then move it down here, okay? Play a lick, move it down. If you can, start moving it up if you go through part 1, 2, and what this is going to do is it's going to unlock the entire fretboard. So if somebody comes in with a shuffle, you know, when I'm in a jam, what we want to get rid of, and what happens now, because I've been doing this for a while, is we want to get rid of the notion of like, okay, a pentatonic. Okay, so I'm here. Right? Okay, it's a little blurry. Okay, but this is my safe zone. No, you got to be able to come in anywhere that you'd like, and that happens when you're going through some of this stuff and understanding these scales in a musical context. Is you're not going to be locked in to this and like, oh, I can move this up. All right, well, if I move it up, I can get up a little bit more. You know, but then once we get here, we get like a little bit lost. Okay, we're trying to get rid of that and unlock the entire fretboard. It is the reason for the course. We go through it with all the scales and the modes and chord progressions and stuff like that, but this is at least a really nice pentatonic lesson for doing that. So try it. Let me know if you have questions about that. And if you have questions, I have other videos on building tension and resolving it and sort of creating phrases, but give it a shot. It is very important. If you want to be a player, that is free around the fretboard. So awesome. Thank you, everybody.